Okay, I had a message dropped earlier from God to do with the Caine seed, and that can be like whether it's thoroughbred, whether they're like inbreeding with their own families, or whether they've spread out across the world. They're still half human and half angelic seed, going all the way back to Satan. These are the people that are, mainly putting us under. They've been in control for 1,000 years, indirectly through the Masons, and infiltrating every service, or service, I should say. In the UK, I'm talking particular. It's all over the world, especially in America. But I'm just saying that, the reason why we've got a lot of these population control policies and the way the beast system is rising right now, with the World Forum and stuff like that, like the policies are very anti-human, which shows who they are. And God's really put it firmly on my heart about, this seed that goes back to Cain has got a big sort of blood stain of people that it's obliterated, whether in control, gangsters eating children, bumping off people and going on about like slewing, as an honour in their racial call. And all I know is that they think that they're Jews, but they're not. They're disgusting. As I say, I've been uploading some videos to do, with the stuff that's going back to them. Like their mark, of sacrificing children and things like that, and drinking the blood, and the way that infiltrates through all the celebrities and Hollywood and all that, and all through our society. They've managed to touch ground, but they do it through illegal means. They are not official in any way. They're a society that's underground, and I know that a lot of the colleges have got strong links with these demonic Jews. Oxford, like that one comes up. It was based on the mystics, kind of mystical kind of principles. And they wanted to bring it over here in the UK, so our educational system is infiltrated with these people. Now, I don't know if it's like, the more you rise, the more that you have to kind of adhere to this system, because people have to do it against their will, or for their will, and I know that people are trapped in V2K and stuff like that. And whether, they're unknowns to it at the first, or whether it runs through families. I'm guessing that it runs through the elite's families. So, they want a complete destruction, the ones at the top, the totally demonic, anti-Semitic, demonic Jews, like in the trait of Caine's family. They kill and stuff, and it's mainly like people who don't sort of rock like they do, that are not into, like the child sacrifice, that are good people, like particularly they'll go after Christians, like God goes on about the blood of the saints. Their ultimate aim is to kill. This is why there are all sorts of weird things happening, like white people I'm noticing are not around anymore. So, like, I don't know if a lot of them died during COVID for one reason or another. I'm thinking it's through suspicious means, like dodgy vaccines and stuff like that. You probably can't talk like that on there, but I don't care. Things like that, or other things that are going on, like infiltration into the homes to gain access, like through certain demographics that are coming into the country, illegally, like all these things are pointing back to illegal teams that have infiltrated our system. And God says that, our UK law is based, like there's a surface law and there's like this under law that uses the main law of God, like based on the Ten Commandments, which is what our justice system is based on. God was saying that, people like George Soros, like with the way he infiltrates countries, he needs the law to operate, to bend it, otherwise it would be in chaos and he couldn't bend it anyway. So they think they're the superior law, but they're not. As I say, they need God's law in place, even if they infiltrate it, like like court, I forgot what they're called, magistrates and stuff like that. They still have to have that illusion that there's a system in place to abuse. So, like what God says in the Bible, it gets its power from the law to kill or hurt, so, He's been revealing loads of things like that. So, like at the moment where the law's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It's alright, I've got a nut crack. I don't know if I can turn it round on here. I've got a nut cracker that God uses spiritually to to make me laugh. Like you put your spirit in, and it's just like, he's making me laugh now. Like going on one foot to make it look silly. Like he's gonna faint. Yeah. Anyway, we got this UK law that's in place, and like it's a very firm underpinning thing, and it is illegal. Like the God's law is totally legal. So we've got to get rid of these people that like follow the Masons and stuff, because they're just completely bending it to a business will. I think a business model will of what the world should be. Like they've lost their morality. Like that's why we have tedious, horrible lives. You can't own homes, you can't get a job where you want to get, you can't get the job out of that college, you're in debt. Things have become so bad and so tyrannical. Even my mum was subject to like a smart home. They wanted to take her away from a family situation, she wouldn't have it, and she literally died 6 weeks after the offer that she got, and she was in absolute dire poverty and damp and everything. She should have been moved out a long time. But that was what they offered her, and she refused it and preferred to die in the squalor that she was. So, and that's another story after she died. I know that God's told me that she was slewed, she was killed before a time. But that's on my channel anyway. Anyway, their ultimate objective, Caine's seed, is to kill us all. And this is a theme that keeps going on in the Bible. Like tyranny's rise and tyranny's fall. And it wouldn't surprise me, more or less 100% certain, that Caine's lot is, serpent seed, Satan's seed, is behind all of it. These tyrannies, back to Babylon and beyond. Because like Caine killed his brother, and like God put a kind of notice on him, so he was kind of covered. And God's told me that he wanted to kind of blend the two seeds of, is it Adam, seed of Adam, and Caine's seed together in in our humanity, because we've still got the mother of Eve. That Christ come to kind of save both, if they just get off their pride horse, the seed of Caine. And I know some of it's been trained out. It even affects my own family. Like there's people in my own family that kind of present those narcissistic traits, but they're nowhere near as bad as like what the ones that are inbreeding. They are really cruel, and they don't care. And we've got like this system, like that you can't, like I've been like watching these ones, these satanic people that I think they're Jews, going about Goyim, like they just see us as slave horses to do what they want with. And they got the cheek to do it as well, because a lot of people play along with them because they want money and deals, and they've lost sight of God. This is why we're in the state that we are. If they knew God, they would have recognised the symptoms of like this narcissistic mindset that the seed of Caine has. That's not care for anyone, not get up, not fight for your country. You just know good men from bad men, good men will sacrifice themselves to put someone else first, like, you know, a child or a woman, you know, someone weaker, in like a disabled person, you know, that'll risk their lives, you know, like, and this is what God wants, you know, men to get up and actually fight this awful tyranny. There's only so much so many people can do. I know that people in V2K are like subject to a lot of witchcraft, so, you know, like, all you can do is your best, and just stamp this thing out. And, like, you know, like myself, tried so hard all my life, you know, like going to work, you know, going to college, doing the right thing, doing everything that I was told to do, and like not getting anywhere, but being in debt with like student debt and things. And I was so determined not to be like my mum, you know, like shopping trolley woman, single parent, but I ended up being exactly that. You know, for all the fighting, you know, like I had big aspirations when I was younger. So was my brother. You know, we're both honest. We both don't hold criminal records or anything, you know, and my mum was as well. We're all honest, you know, and we just can't get on like many people I know around me. You know, we're just like servitude, job fodder, you know, like, and like if you try and like escape the system, that, you know, they're after you. You know, that's all you're worth is a cleaner job or warehouse. You know, because they keep insisting, even though you're educated, that you're more or less a waster. It's like a constant theme. You know, like you got to take what's there, when we know that the jobs market is being destroyed from within. You know, you can't own your own home, or, you know, like we've been dissuaded of having families, and you know, like the general consensus is like being married is uncool now. You know, like you got to have like short-term relationships, and, you know, even that's been took away. You know, like most honest people don't want like one after the other. It hurts, and I feel like there's a differentiator, or whatever it's called. You know, like there's a difference between seed of Caine and, you know, like seed of Adam. You know, like, because Adam's seed, or, you know, like the fruit of that is people just want one person, you know, most of their lives. Like myself, you know, like I went down, you know, the influence of the Caine seed, you know, where you went down lusty departments and things like that, but I just ended up hurt. So, you know, we've been fed this national consensus to, especially from America, which is the root of most poison, you know, like to sleep around and stuff, and, you know, like they don't want population. That's why I think the pill was invented. They don't want people having families, because family units are strong, you know, like from a human point of view. And like most people, like ending up, you know, if they're gay and stuff, like, you know, just ending up on their own. You know, they burnt their bridges, and like it's like, what now? You know, like they've got nothing to show for it, or they've gone down the drugs route. You know, that have wasted most of their lives. They probably had like a good chins up or something, a good laugh along the way, but they'll probably find out that they're on their own. You know, like with no friends and stuff, or they've probably died, you know, through drugs overdoses. You know, they've got nothing to show for it, you know, like, and this is a deliberate thing, you know, that's on repeat on the TV all day. And not the current thing now is like to be trans, you know, like this artificialdom that they keep like insisting on. That's cool, you know, and music and all that have like brought all that about. But I'm just saying that, you know, like, know that you're under, you know, like the main law, which makes you think that it's all tickety-boo, but there's a lot of people, you know, that are running the show, I think from middle class upwards, that are using witchcraft, you know, like to gain their wealth and stuff like that, you know, while the rest of us struggle. You know, they've got like access to this alchemy in their system, or middle upper class, I should say, you know, that they've used to like their way, you know, like while the rest of us are like, you know, like struggling from A to B and blind, you know, like for doing the right thing, you know, called lazy, when they're the ones that are tipping the system into the sea, you know, like the job system. And like currently I'm seeing, you know, like loads and loads of migrants, you know, that wasn't in the area from, you know, like 3 years ago. It's like every single service job, whether it's DPD, Greggs, Sainsbury's, you know, it's like one white face amongst loads of migrant faces. You know, like they've come out of nowhere. You know, I'm saying, where are the white people? You know, and I'm thinking, has there been some genocide going on since COVID? You know, like it's just like unbelievable the amount that you know, like have switched regions. You know, where have they gone? You know, where have the white people gone? I'm not blaming migrants, but you know, like it's a questionable thing. You know, like, and I know George Soros has a lot to do with like changing, you know, like narratives. You know, I think he's behind all this ferrying over, you know, like with the ganglands and stuff, just to change the regime, you know, here. Because I know that, you know, like he goes back to that serpent seed, and you know, like he doesn't want Christians around, and there's a massive attack on this country because of our Christian heritage. You know, they're even taking the P out of you know, traditional English things. You know, like they're setting up shop, so like ice cream vans. It looks really wrong, to be honest. I'm not being racist, but you know, like, you know that it's part of a regime. You know, ordinarily I wouldn't be bothered, but you know, like suddenly, you know, like you see loads of, you know, like white people, you know, running the same old show with their traditional wares and stuff, and then suddenly they're like suddenly plonked like a load of, you know, migrant workers that are in their place, you know, like everywhere, hospitals, shops, you know, it's just like a few white people dotted around. But the area that I'm from was always mainly white anyway, just like a few black people here and there, all mixed race, a lot of mixed race where I'm from, which was the norm, but it's just become so abnormal. We've had like officers walking around, the security are migrants. What else? The bus drivers are migrants, and they're completely balmy, some of them. You know, like they drive like lunatics. And there's like, you know, like migrants getting on the bus arguing with them. There was like an incident a few weeks with, you know, 3 or 4 Pakistanis that were having a go at a white guy on the bus, and he fell over. I got like the document of that. And like other people are even noticing. There's like another channel that I follow. There's a Pakistani woman who's British. You know, I don't mind as long as they're British, you know, like, but I know these are illegals, you know, that have been propped up, as I say, there's like they're in the service industry. It's like almost as if like they're, you know, like the next phase is to say that white people are lazy so-and-sos. And, you know, like, you know, and some of these Pakistanis as well, and migrants, are like walking around as proud as you like. I've even had moments where I've been intimidated slightly, you know, like they'll walk closer to you. And some of these migrant security guards don't look like they can handle anything. And, you know, some of them look really thin and emaciated, you know. It's almost just a presence of like that they're there just to threaten the public. And like I've noticed in my local town centre, you know, like they we've never needed, at one point we didn't even have security people, you know, up the centre, because like you know, like it was never needed, you know, like, and there's now it's about six walking around now. They probably just have one white person or 2 maximum, and like the rest are migrants, or all migrants on another day, because I think some of them work part-time. But you know, it's like an absolutely ludicrous narrative. There's, you know, like even like the posters in the window is like you know, like Specsavers, you know, again, you know, migrants, happy migrants. And then you get loads of patronising, like audio messages, you know, like be nice to each other day. And like we know for a fact that there's been a lot of migrant misbehaving. You know, like we've gone from a very multicultural, neutral country, like probably one of the best in the world, if not the best, you know, kind of mixing with each other, well, not mixing it with each other, but you know, like there's a mutual toleration of religions, you know, and like that took a while to get to there after the Handsworth riots and stuff, you know, and like it was peaceful, and then like suddenly this lunacy's all come, and like it's not doing anything for, you know, multiculturalism at all, you know, like everyone's on edge. It's mad. Anyway, I know that it all leads back, you know, even probably the migrants are not even sure that how they're being used and stuff, and then maybe some of them do, because there's like a lot of buff ones that look like they're ready to fight. It's not fair that they've been planted in this country illegally. It's alright, V2K, messing with my voice and making me not breathe very well again, using the sorcery, technological sorcery, tightening my waist. I forgot what I was going to say, now they've blocked my mind. I just liked saying that this line back to Caine, you know, like you got to be watchful for it, especially if you're getting into relationships or doing deals with them. You know them by their actions, God says. So just closing this, that's their ultimate aim with all this UFO theory as well. You know, it's just getting more and more ridiculous with America, and like I've got a real pet hate with that culture at the moment, which I might do a video on, because like V2K comes from there, and it's probably operating mainly as well from England, because I know there's one place that that deals with that here. Yeah, so that's all I can say. The Caine seed want to kill us all, because they want to make their law normal, and that's it. So beware.